Hey Thomas, good to see you again.
Hi, Michael.
Look, I had a couple of follow-up questions on the heels of our previous conversation about, let me see here, income inequality in relation to human rights.
Well, that's a very good question, Michael. And it's really the question, where do these two aspects of humanity correlate?
Right.
How does income inequality correlate with human rights? And to start with, let's look at what income inequality is first.
Right.
Income inequality is basically the extent to which income is distributed unequally within a population. Okay? Human rights are legal entitlements that belong equally to all human beings.
Question. Now, there is a distinction between human rights and civil rights.
Yes, most definitely.
Civil rights are something that is legally bestowed on citizens by governments generally. And then human rights are, we can say, bestowed by the fact that you are a human being.
Exactly.
Okay.
In fact, if we look at the United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights,
Right.
we can, for example, just look at some of their basic premises, and from looking at the United Nations Declaration of Human Rights as an aspect of international law, we can ask ourselves, okay, we have these human rights, so why is it that so many people around the world are suffering? For example, we can look at Article 1 of Article 1, Article 2, and Article 3. The most important, I would say, human rights that we have, supposedly guaranteed, our legal entitlements, are the right to life, liberty, and security. The question now is, if we have these human rights, why are billions and billions of people denied the right to life, denied the right to liberty or freedom? And why don't billions of people have any security? Why are they going to sleeping on the streets is basically without security?
Right.
The right to life, for example. Let's look at the right to life.
The right not to be killed.
Yeah, the right to live, right? For example, if every human is equally entitled to the right to life, well, here's my question, Michael. What do we need to live?
Well, according to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, of course, we need air, water, food, shelter.
Let's stop right there.
Okay.
Good. That's exactly right. And let's look at that. Let's look at food, water, and shelter.
Right.
Now, imagine you're amongst a group of people walking in the hills,
Right.
and in a third world country, and you don't have any money. You barely have any. You don't have any shoes. You don't have.
Right.
You barely have any clothing, and you come to a fence. But over that fence, you see a beautiful lake with fresh water, and you see fruit trees growing. You say, "I've got to have something to drink.
Right.
I've got to eat something, or I'm going to die."
Right.
So you start walking along, but a man steps out, and he's got a gun. He has a gun, and he stops you,
Right.
prevents you. What are you going to say to him?
Please let me have some water and something to eat.
Right, and you might also say, and he says, "Sorry, this is the property of so-and-so corporation."
I see.
And what are you going to say? But you're going to die. If you're dying, you're dying of thirst, you're dying of hunger. What are you going to tell him?
Well, I guess I would try to fight him for the power of his weapon to get over to the water and the food.
That's an idea, and some people do, and they end up getting shot by corporate guards.
Just probably me.
It's like you can say to him, hey, it's my human right. I have the right to live.
Right.
And to live, I require to drink water and
Pardon me.
eat the fruit. The water Earth has given to everyone
Right.
for free. Yet now a corporation owns that water and is saying that I can't drink it. And the
I
food,
see.
The sun is provided, the food is provided by earth, except for the labor to harvest it.
Sure.
It's provided by earth. But now that corporation is saying that I need money. I have to give that corporation money. But I'm saying I'm going to die, so my right to life is being violated because I am being denied access to food and water that I require to live.
I see. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
And then we can go, and here's how the game works in the world system. How it's kind of like hypocrisy of international law. Okay, so the international law gives us the right to life, liberty, and security. International law of the UN Declaration of Human Rights also state that no one, we have the right not to be forced into slavery or held into slavery. The problem here is, now let's say you are the owner of that corporation.
Right.
Put yourself in those shoes.
That would be nice.
You've bought the water, you've bought the land, perhaps paid off some corrupt governments to buy up all the water rights and the land. And now, and you also own other factories. And now, as a corporation owner, you're telling the people who have lived there all their lives, for generations, you're telling them if they want water, if they want food, they have to give you some money, or let's say you have to give them some money. But here's the catch. In order to get money to pay the corporation for the food and water that should belong to everyone as a human right, you have to now work for that corporation, work, let's say, 16 hours a day for less than $2 a day. Is that not a form of slavery?
It is indeed. It is indeed.
Right. And if I were the factory worker, I could say to you, hey, nobody's forcing you to become the slavery. I'm offering you a job. You don't want the job?
Then
that's
you
fine
can
with
starve
me.
to death.
Yeah, you starve to death.
And
But
so would you say then that that's sort of the current state of affairs at this time?
most definitely, in many third world countries, it's just hypocrisy. International law says that we have the right to life, have the right to liberty and security, and to not be forced into slavery. But according to the money system, it doesn't state, law does not say that it's illegal for corporations to create conditions that force people into slavery.
I see.
It's illegal to force them into slavery.
Yet, in effect.
Not,
Okay.
not illegal to create the conditions
Where?
that give them no other choice,
I see.
but to accept
I
slave-like conditions
I get it.
in order to survive.
I get it. Okay. Well, that's a lot to chew on, and let me take that and keep working on it.
All right.
I got a lot today about human rights and severe income inequality, and I'll go back and I'll process that and put it into my paper.
I would just like to say that as global citizens,
Right.
Michael, you and I, we are actually able to work together with people around the world
That's right.
on the internet to stand up for equality for all, in consideration of what is best for all.
Good, and
Thank
that is actually what I was looking for when I said I needed solutions. That sounds great, Thomas. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much,
We'll
Michael.
continue this conversation.
Thank you.
Thomas, good. I enjoyed so much our conversation ending with the idea of global citizenship and the power that we have as individuals, especially now with the internet and international communication, to stand up for the human rights of one another. I'm wondering, in terms of solutions, what else are you thinking about?
That's a good question, Michael. Basically, it's the question of what are we, the people, we as individuals, collectively as groups working together, what are we able to do to solve problems such as income inequality
Right.
and human rights violations?
Right.
Because this is, as a global problem, this problem is spreading. It's not getting better.
Right.
It's getting worse. What we can do as groups of people, we can stand up and, for example, write a new set of human rights that incorporate an economic right that will guarantee everyone has basically just enough money to ensure that each person has the opportunity to live a dignified life.
So, in other words, begin to strive to organize to stand up for economic rights in the form of sort of a universal living wage, something along those lines.
Something along that lines.
I see.
We have to incorporate whatever we do in humanity to solve the problem. We have to incorporate economics.
I see.
It's not separate.
Right.
We don't live in a world without money.
Okay. So, in terms of a solution, I need to be thinking about how to guarantee a certain level of economic security for all people.
Basically, to guarantee people human rights. Sure.
Okay. Okay, I got it. Thomas, thank you again.
Thank you, Michael.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. As we complete our MOOC on severe income inequality and human rights, we have a couple questions for you. Isn't that right, Thomas?
Yes, it is.
Question number 1. If you could guarantee every human being just 3 human rights, what would those rights be and why?
That's a very good question.
It is.
Question number 2. Currently, human rights are not applied equally to all people. What kind of changes do you think are required to correct this situation?
That is a good question. Question 3. What do you think is a better measurement of equality or inequality, an individual's total wealth or his or her annual income? Interesting. And why? Great questions, Thomas.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.